Okay, so quick round of intros. My name is Jimmy. I met some people yesterday on the previous event, and I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm the head of product for the Gorgias platform, so anything that's not working might be because of my team. Sorry. We have Lisa. She is a design manager for the Gorgias platform, so think of exactly. Yes. Then we have Jordan over there. He is a product marketing manager. He works really close with Automate AI agents, so he's here to help us support that. And then we have Amanda. She is a VP of Customer Experience. She has worked at previous companies, including Love Wellness, Casper. So maybe, Amanda, you can go ahead and share a little bit of.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Some familiar faces and plenty of new ones. Excited to be here. So a little bit about me. I spent the last 11 years between LA and New York. Happy to visit LA, but I'm a New York girl through and through now, 8 years in. I got started in CX and kind of the tech world in Hulu. In the early days, this is when Netflix was still shipping DVDs 150 years ago, and no one really knew what Hulu was. After a bit of time with Hulu, I joined Casper in the early days. I helped set up their CX out here in LA, a small office out here that we grew to about 20, and then I went to New York 8 years ago and kept growing the team there. After about 4 years there, I said, okay, I've sold enough beds and boxes. I need to sell something else. And I got the opportunity to join Love Wellness as their first employee, and that was 5.5 years ago. And I really built it from the ground up. I joined, and our founder, Lo, said, here's our Gmail account. I haven't answered emails in 3 weeks. Good luck to you. So that was thrilling. So I built CX from the ground up, everything customer support you can imagine, and then absorbed subscriptions, referrals, reviews, rewards, and a long laundry list that goes on and on and on, which we'll get into how you can tackle all those things as well. And in that time, so Love Wellness, I was part of 4 retail launches, 15 product launches, 3 total rebrands, including 3 new logos, all new packaging, 80 million versions of our website. Love Wellness was just on the Today Show yesterday. They're going to be on QVC soon, so ton happening. So yes, a long journey of all things CX, which I'm really excited about. And if we had all day, I would just lock you guys in this room, and this would be my TED Talk for the next 6 hours, but we'll keep it short.
Unfortunately. Oh, that's very interesting that you've experienced all these different stages of business growth and all these different industries. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about how your teams have evolved over this time and how teams were different in these different companies.
Yeah, so when I joined Casper, I think I was like employee 44. The CX team, I think, was 18 people. And every day was like 27 new things we had to figure out in that moment. So I think this is true for most businesses. When CX starts, you're kind of doing everything you can as quickly as you can with as many people as you are afforded, which is probably not enough. So everyone is a generalist, and that everyone has to be able to do every single thing. And that works for a while until your department starts to mature, your problems start to mature, stabilize, the business kind of stabilizes, you're fighting less new fires every single day. You're still fighting fires every single day, but you're familiar with them, which becomes a little less stressful, if possible. So in doing so, and the same goes for Love Wellness, once the business started to stabilize, then you can start creating CX into kind of mini departments within a department. So once everyone is capable of doing all the same tasks, then you can start pulling out where can you drive efficiency. So for Casper, deliveries are a huge thing. Your mattress needs to show up when it's supposed to show up, not a day too soon, not a day too late, especially in New York when buildings are crazy about getting your mattress out, and you can only use their service elevator for like 8 minutes of the entire day, and not on a Saturday, and definitely not on a Sunday. And your new mattress better be there, but not too soon, because your apartment is a shoebox and you can't have both beds at once. So at Casper, we right away understood in order to be efficient with deliveries and making sure those happen, we had to specialize couple people who just focus on deliveries at that point. This slowly but surely grew to where we had specialists who really focus on deliveries, QA, website experience, and kind of had all their special focuses. At Casper, my support team was about 60-ish people, so we had different pods that would really narrow in and focus on each different thing. That doesn't happen at day one, that happened at like year 2.5, so it takes some time to really ramp up until you can find what the focus should be. You can't focus on everything at once in the beginning, you just have to do your best with what you have and then move along the way. Love Wellness was no different, besides I had 5 people instead of 65 people, so a little bit of a different working and operating option. So what we found is, with such a small team and 90 million things to do, we had to be very careful with what we were working on, where we were putting our time, money, resources, efforts, and energy. And automation is really critical in getting us where we were to a point where we could start doing this. So once we got in a good place with automation, and I know we'll talk about this in a bit, we were able to automate like 40% of our interactions from ever hitting our inbox, opening up 40% of our time to go now focus on delivery or QA or a website or creative or 700 million other things we're supposed to be doing. So everyone still at their core had to be able to do all the functions you needed to do for a customer, but then we were able to start segmenting to, okay, Lainey is going to work on all of our fulfillment stuff that has a SLA of 1 hour, and it has to be done at this time of day, and we need to get through it, or it's going to jam up the entire day. So I think as the business matures, your problems mature and stabilize, and you're able to kind of start building like a whole little empire of CX that you get to operate within.
Yeah, very cool. So this session is called What Creating Exceptional Customer Experience Actually Means. It's awesome to hear you talk about all these different stages of growth and navigating all of this change. Can you define what customer experience, exceptional customer experience means to you? Like, what are your North Stars throughout all of that change?
How much time do you have? No. I think of it in three buckets because exceptional CX can mean whatever you want it to mean, honestly, depending on your industry or what you're selling or what your business is. But for me, I think about 3 things. These all really compound with each other. You can't have one without the other 2. They all serve to meet each other. So for me, exceptional CX is how easy is it for the customer to do what they're needing to do. In a perfect world, no one talks to my team. And no one has to talk to your team, but we don't live in a perfect world. So number 1 is, can the customer get what they need as quickly, as easily as possible, and like move on their way, purchase the thing, get their issue solved. Step number 2 is, how easy is it for your team to actually execute on whatever ends up in the inbox? And it has to be easy and fun, and it can't be miserable, and you can't be slogging through the day. So how easy is it? Do you have the right tooling to get you where you need to go? And number 3 is, if both of those are working in unison, which I hope they are, it doesn't start that way, but it should end that way. CX should be a feedback machine and taking the results of every single thing in the company. Like, the digital team builds a website. If it's shit or not shit, your CX team hears about it. If your email lands or doesn't land, your CX team hears about it. If your product is liked or not liked, your CX team hears about it. The people who don't hear about it are the people making it, because they're often digital land or product land or fulfillment land or creative land. We hear about it. Your CX team hears about it. So taking everything we hear, packaging it up in a perfect little CX bow, and giving it back to the business as a feedback machine, that's kind of the critical part. They all compound, because one happens, so the next can happen, and it feeds back over and over and over. It's like reduce, recycle, reuse. It's a lot of that. So I think in those 3 buckets, you can kind of pull out all the pieces you need to really provide an exceptional experience.
I think that's a perfect summary, and we can all relate with the feedback portion of it. You know, I think it's like, at least for me, it's one of the one that really clicks. I was thinking maybe a story that you have from like your previous experience where you took that feedback and you used it to improve processes or to grow the team.
Yeah. So we at Love Wellness, we built up our tech stack and knocked it down and built it up and knocked it down more times than I can remember. Good news is about tech is it's always improving. Hopefully it's improving with you. If you get it right on the first go, kudos. You're never right on the first go, but like there are some people who nail it. But your tech should be evolving with you. Don't feel like you have to be married to your tech forever. So tooling and tech is really, really important to us. It's critical to my team being successful, how efficient they can be. Can we get through our work? Can we do all the things we're supposed to do? And then a few extras. So one that comes to mind that I'm really excited about or was really excited about, was we switched subscription platforms like 3 or 4 different times, and we're back with Recharge. And one or two of the old ones we have, I forget their names because I only care about Recharge now. If you guys haven't spoken to the Recharge team today, go do that. They are lovely. But what we found was we were on Recharge, we left Recharge and went back, and the time where we weren't in Recharge, our other platform, it didn't connect to Gorgias. It was kind of this custom thing that we were doing on the side. We had to always have it open in a different window. Any action had to happen as like this own separate thing. Eventually, we came back to Recharge for a multitude of reasons. So happy we did. And for Love Wellness, about 60 to 65% of our inbox are subscription inquiries, whether it's managing, questions, change, cancel, skip, whatever you're going to do. So in doing that, once we switched back to Recharge, where it was fully integrated to Gorgias, where we could perform actions with macros and all these different things and have everything right in front of us in the widgets on the side in one page, we reduced our resolution time by 14 hours on these subscription tickets. So that's more than half of our inbox, taking 14 less hours per ticket. That's huge. That's time, money, effort, like brain power that we can give to so many other parts of the business that we didn't need to on those things. So I think having tech that talks to each other, I'm a firm believer, probably because I have ADD, like if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm never gonna come back to it. Data, platform alike, like once it existed outside of like my Gorgias window, I'm like, we'll get to it. If I remember that on Friday. So having everything in one place was really, really, really huge for us. And it allowed us to do all those things. The customer could have a better experience on site because we know all the tech was talking to each other. We felt really good about the integration. My team could do their job really effectively. We could spend less time doing the things and talking about what we should be doing next and kind of seeing around corners of where we should be going.
And speaking about CX team being a feedback machine for the business, I think it's a very important topic, and this is where you, as a CX team, often need to justify your existence and making sure you're proving.
That needs to change. Who do we have to? Who is the manager of that? Because I'm so tired of fighting for a seat at the table, but I will continue to do that.
True. So maybe you could tell us some stories, maybe some rituals that your team had, some, I don't know, meetings you set up to make sure you're tracking the right numbers, and yeah, what did you report to business to make sure they understand the value?
Yeah, so we had, like I said, a small team. So all of this, I'm sure you guys have teams larger than 5 or maybe smaller than 5 for CX, I don't know. But what I found was in order to collect like we're drinking from a fire hose every single day, it's very hard to pick out what is actually going to like make finance give me more money to like do more things. So you had to kind of pick and choose what's actually going to move the needle forward. Is this important to the business or not? And what worked for us was within the CX department, we had 3 meetings a week that allowed us to keep a 360 view and keep an eye on everything. Again, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So we had to come back to these things all the time. So every Tuesday, no meetings on Monday. Mondays are hard and busy and miserable. No meetings on Monday. So every Tuesday, we would do a weekly business review within CX. And it was a quick snapshot of last week. What happened last week? What did our numbers look like? Did volume go up or down? What did first response time look like? What happened in our categories? Did something shoot through the roof and we know why or we don't know why? Get a good sense of what happened. We'd also look at my 2 favorite groups, glows and grows. What went really well? What is the team proud of? What did we accomplish? And what didn't go so well? Are we chasing down a problem for the 2nd or 3rd or 4th week? Do I need to go ask the dev team to really get it together and go fix the thing that's causing us a lot of strife? And then the last step was reviewing CSAT as a team. You're only as good as your worst CSAT, and having people review that in a vacuum doesn't help the team. You're probably not being honest with yourself if you're reviewing it by yourself. So having the whole team participate in, okay, here's what I think went really well here, here's what I think we missed the mark on. Hey, I actually noticed this macro gets this 1 star every single time. Let's talk about that. So a good snapshot of last week so we know what happened in the business and like what can I take and go to digital with or whoever with. Meeting number 2 is on Thursday, and it's just for the CX team where we talk about what's happening in the business that's going to impact our day-to-day. Are there promos coming up? Is there a holiday coming up? Are our rules set up? Is something broken? Do we expect something to go out of stock? Are we prepared for what is going to make our day really great or really, really not great? And then any admin, like who's going on vacation? Do we have coverage? anything like that. And then meeting number 3, and this actually came out of life as a request from my team, is called CX University. So every Friday, because Fridays are generally slower for us, first half of the week is pretty crammed, but Friday we have a bit more bandwidth to let our creative juices flow. But it's a safe space to come and say, hey, I don't feel really great about this process. I think I jam it up every time. I think you're doing it differently than I'm doing it. I don't know who's right. Let's get buy-in and agreement. We would do macro reviews, we would do tag reviews, we would just talk about what either was or wasn't working. And I think having those 3 were serving kind of all the 3 pillars, right? So like my team can work effectively. They're finding problems that customers are having and we're fixing them. And then that comes back to make sure we can deliver it all back to the business next Tuesday. Those 3 were huge. Those meetings did not we didn't have those meetings for a very long time. It took probably 3 years before we were like, okay, we actually need all 3 of these. We can't cram this into 1 meeting. We can't cram it into 2. We actually need dedicated time. Also, people want time out of the inbox. I was like, shut your computers. Let's look at each other. But it really took a long time to get to that spot. But those 3 meetings were our North Star, and we were able to make sure we're addressing internal to our department, external to our department, and then like, are we as people iterating, evolving, getting better at what we like doing, what we don't like doing. And then if no one had anything to discuss, it was an hour to go do whatever you wanted to do. Like walk away from your computer, go take a walk, touch grass, close your eyes, stare at a smaller screen. Like it's just important to like give people some bandwidth back to make sure they feel refreshed and are able to do things. Again, I'm like painting a very luxurious picture that we have all this time and like we don't need everyone at their computers. Understand that's not the reality for everyone, but carving out those times to make sure your team gets what they need and it's not just the business getting what it needs goes a really, really long way.
Yeah, I love how you think about the role of CX as so much outside of the inbox, but obviously so many brands struggle to find time to leave the inbox because they're so buried under tickets. So I'm wondering if you can talk about a few ways that you help your CX teams operate more efficiently, answer more tickets in less time, and like get more time to spend outside of the inbox.
Gorgias. That's it. No, really, the tools within Gorgias are really incredible, and if you can build an operationally sound department as quickly as time allows you to, it will go football fields, like slow down to speed up. Sometimes it's grueling to spend those extra days, hours, weeks getting stuff in line. I'm a Virgo, so I need everything to be exactly how it's supposed to be every single time. And I'm really intense about the details, but they go a really long way. And I tell my team all the time, take the 2 minutes now to save the 5 minutes later. You have 30 seconds right now. You won't have 5 minutes on a Monday morning. So just take the little bit of extra time now. What we looked at, though, all the tooling within Gorgias, and there are 1,000,001 features, and I only have so long, but macros is a tool that compounds in like every direction. So by creating macros, yes, of course, you respond efficiently, consistently, effectively. That's great. But you can pull a lot more out of macros. So one, with macro usage, you can see what's being used most often. That means it's repeatable. If it's repeatable, it can be automated. You can front load that away. If you are sending a macro like more than 10 times a day, it should probably be front loaded on your website so the robots can ask that question and your team can actually just step in and solve it like that. So macro usage, understanding CSATs from macros, which CSATs are crushing it with which conversations, and can we replicate that in other macros or other categories? Can we put more of that content on the website? From there, we're able to determine, okay, if this macro on canceling your subscription is being used a bazillion times a day, what does that tell us? That tells us a lot of people are canceling. That tells us, should we be deflecting in that moment? Should we maybe automate with a churn prevention offer? Should we just let them cancel? You can kind of determine what your next 5 steps should be and where that's going and where you should be setting resources aside. If suddenly your delivery, like your package's loss macro goes through the roof, I need to go talk to ops and say, what the hell is going on with all of our packages? Why are all the packages in Texas going missing? Like, who can we call? Postmaster General, what's happening? So like you can learn a lot really quickly by just looking at like what tools are your team using. And then from there you get to automate, you get to use flows. And that's all just like kind of one tool in and of itself. 2 other tools I'll talk about that are not Gorgias related that are critical to any successful CX team. Text Expander. If you don't use Text Expander, you should use Text Expander. It's incredible and it's very, very cheap. We love Text Expander, so look it up. You can save personal snippets that you execute with shortcuts, kind of like what Roman did on stage with his snippets. So I don't type my name anymore, I type .a. I stopped typing my name years ago. I don't do that anymore. So you don't have to type your business name. Text Expander is great. And then Guru. We use Guru as our internal knowledge base, not only for CX, but for the ops team, for our marketing team, for our product team. All of our info goes there. Nothing lives and dies in someone else's Google Doc that never gets touched after 2 months. It's constantly updated. It has a widget in Chrome where on any page you pull it up, you can search one word and it'll bring up every single piece of info with that one word. So we can kind of make, again, my team's life really easy, to make the customer's life easy, to make the business's life better. So we love a bit of tooling, but macros are huge. Automation and help center have been insane. I don't know what that slide is coming up, I think. But we turned on Automate and Help Center in the beginning of April. In the first month, 40% of our interactions, at least 40, maybe it was 45. It was 45. Okay, automation rate was 45% in a month, like that. Didn't miss a beat. Our one-touch tickets went from, I think, 1 or 2% to north of 20%. So the team had to come in, send one email, and move on to the next one. And they get to save the day. They're like, hey, it's Amanda, and your problem's taken care of. And they're like, oh my God. And our first response time was reduced by 60%. Like, we are flying through tickets because we're not spending time where we don't need to spend time. Only the moment we need to step in, not a moment too soon, not a moment too late, we can do that, but it's with the right tools to allow us to get to that point. It doesn't happen on day 1, like that was year 5.5 and we're like humming along, so there's no moment. It's gonna happen when it's supposed to happen. But Gorgias has all the tools.
Love it.
Thanks for building them.
Okay, sweet. So we chatted a little bit about giving a smooth setup for the sports team and providing CX providing feedback to the rest of the business. I want to talk about this last pillar, easy access to information for the customer. So kind of the theme of yesterday, for those of you who are there, and today has been AI and automation. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about how you see AI and automation transforming the role of CX, like what's coming in the next few years.
Don't be afraid. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. What Roman was saying earlier, and kind of my red thread through all of this, is like, you guys all have CX teams. Their number 1 request is, can I get out of the inbox? Please let me out. I don't want to send another email. I don't want to answer another chat. Great, I agree. There's more to life than answering emails. Why don't we let the robots take care of like a good chunk that we don't need to do back and forth? So what I was saying about macros, if you're sending the same message 200 times a day, a robot can do that much faster than you can. What we found is for these repeatable occasions, so let's say we short ship or mispick your order and you're missing something, you have the wrong product or your order is lost, we're gonna ask you the same 3 things. What did you receive? What didn't you receive? Where do you live? And the result, and the answer is always, we're gonna send you a new one. Those 3 questions can be asked by a robot every single time. And as much as my team doesn't want to email you, you don't want to email us. No one wants to be emailing companies. So if you can just give the robot who's already asked the right questions that we know we need the answers to, give it all its details, and then my team says, okay, and we've replaced it, have a good day, and you're like, what? That's it? Robots are good for those things. Your team wants to get out of the inbox, and if you can give them back 40% of their time to go dig through all the data, that they can go to the creative team and say, hey, every time we use this type of creative, people have no idea what you're talking about. They're very confused. Your promo language is confusing, whatever it's going to be. They get to take like the really juicy stuff that we want to package up and give back to the business. That's when they get to do it. They feel very empowered in doing it. You can provide growth in your roles where traditionally you're either moving up from like tier 1 to tier 2 to handle like the shittier tickets. I don't know why that's a promotion, but it is. Like, they want to use their brains in different ways. They know the business better than any single person in your business does. I guarantee that. And the like mountain of information they're sitting on only sits there until we can go like tear it apart. So if you can give them time to go do that, like let the robots do the robots' work. It's okay. And like yeah, like I will tell you, Alex came to the office and we did a demo of AI agent, and I was like, this is great. And afterwards they were like, so we're fired? I was like, no, like so far from it. Like I can actually give you so much more to consider and look at and grow in your role, make better relationships with other people in the team. So it's not just me talking to everyone. My team can go sit with finance and say, this is what we're seeing with this type of return, and we're seeing a lot of fraud, or we're seeing whatever we're seeing. You can give that back to them, empower them, give them so much more agency, because they're not asking what your address is. I'm not asking you to send me a photo. A robot can do all of that. So I'm very excited. I think there's a ton more. I think when we were beta testing AI agent, it didn't yet have the functions with Shopify. We're like, it's good, but like I still have to push a button. I don't have to push a button anymore. Like that's incredible. So I think it'll speed up a lot of things so we can actually worry about the things that will drive our business forward. And then the other side of it is, if I'm not worried about support, I can go do sales. I can go sell you all of our products, because you can take all of them, but you don't know that until I tell you that. So I think it opens up a lot of opportunity. Working CX will look and feel different. It looks different than it did 5 years ago, and it'll look different 5 years from now. But I think there's a lot of opportunity to be gained, both personally, professionally, for your business, for your team, for yourself, to like give someone else the garbage work. Like let's do like the fun, good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm reminded of what you said 20 minutes ago. Like, how do I talk to the finance department to get more budget to grow my CX team? It's certainly not by asking repetitive tickets, like handling all of these emails by hand. It's finding a cheaper way to do that so you can, make a larger impact on the business.
You can jump into Q&A.
Oh, cool. It's Q&A time. So if you haven't yet, make sure to scan the QR code. You can also go to slido.com, enter the code. Can one person give me a thumbs up? Is it working for you? Yeah? Okay, cool. Nice. So yeah, feel free to upvote as well as submit your own questions. We might give it 1 second so you all can join. Yeah, I love it.
All right.
So yeah, we might start from the top. I'm gonna send this one to Amanda, but how often or how do you enforce specific customer-facing policies like warranty windows, return requirements, et cetera, that a customer may not like?
We're pretty upfront. Like we don't hold anything back. Like I don't ever want a customer to be like, yeah, bait and switch. Like I'm never coming back. We're pretty lenient with policies. It's in our help center for a reason. So if you're concerned, what is the return policy? It literally says, you can return it unopened in 30 days, and if you don't like it, come talk to us. We just want to get you in a product you like. So that's in the help center. It's also in our terms of service, so no one can ever be like, well, I didn't know that. Yes, you did. You can't prove me wrong. I'm gonna get you. We're pretty upfront, but we try to provide it in a way where we're not saying you knew better, but in a way to say, by the way, and it's kind of like reverse psychology. We're like, this is the return policy. You are outside of the window, but we're gonna help you out. And you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. So I would say all the time. Of course, there's the moments where someone's very grumpy or they're trying to scam you. That happens all the time. We don't shy away from it. I'd rather just let people know what the deal is and say like, deal or no deal. It's always gonna be a deal. We're always gonna help you out. Like, it doesn't help my team to spend time emailing you 50 more times for you to be like, well, I'm filing a chargeback. Like, let's just send you a new product then. So we're pretty upfront with it, but having it in the help center so like people can they won't do the research themselves, but if they could, they would. It's kind of upfront. We don't want to hide anything. Like, we have nothing to hide. We want people to feel comfortable and confident that they can come to us and shop with us without it being this like big, scary thing. Like, I've unfortunately shopped many an Instagram brand that was a total scam, and I'm like, I'm on the phone with Chase again. Had I just checked like their website like a little bit more closely, I would have noticed it was a total farce. So yeah, we put all the information out there. We don't hide anything. I think it's just easier to like put it all out there, let people make their decision, ask you a question when they're ready.
Love it. And you talked earlier, we talked quite a bit about delivering feedback to the rest of the business. What is the best way to collect that feedback from customers in a way that makes it easy to pass it off to teams who are not customer facing, like the product team, like the design team, the dev team?
Yeah, so it's kind of a combination depending on what we're doing. So if we're asking for a lot of feedback, we do a lot of surveys. So we just did a big survey of our subscribers, like who had been with us for more than 2 years. It was like 20,000 people or something, and just wanted to get a better sense of like, why have you kept it? Why haven't you canceled? If you were gonna cancel, would you stay if we gave you feedback? Like, just trying to get a sense. Surveys are really, really huge for us. Okendo has a really great survey tool for anyone on Okendo. There is many a survey tool out there. We do a lot of type forms as well. It's just easy. They look really good. They're really easy and nice to use. So those are really easy. When it comes to like what happens internal to CX, so if we're getting a lot of product feedback, I spend a lot of time in reviews of all this product, kind of getting a good summary of like positive, they love this, negative, hey, everyone's having this packaging issue, the bottles are exploding, we should go do something about that. So reviews are a huge place for us to get that info. That takes a little bit of time. So if you can free up 40% of your time, you can spend more time in reviews and go talk to your product and manufacturing teams. And then for the stuff that's truly support related, so if we're having delivery issues, I'm very strict on tagging. I told you guys earlier, I'm a bit of a psychopath. I'm a Virgo. I require 100% tagging accuracy with my team. So every ticket has a parent tag and a child tag. So I can look high level and say, okay, delivery as a whole went up, and then a child tag to say, it's a lot of Wizmos. Why is it a lot of Wizmos? Oh, because we haven't shipped any orders in 6 days. Ops, what's going on? So it's kind of across the board. We don't like utilize too many, like, I don't have like any platform that just does all that for, I am the platform. No, my team's the platform. It's just kind of depending on what we're looking for. We'll go to different places to get that. And then I will tell you, a lot of the feedback I give to the business, they don't ask for. They should be asking for it, but they don't know that I have it. So I go to them and I say, Love Wellness just got a new CMO, and I said, I just want you to be clear, these are all the types of feedback content stuff that I get in my lap. You tell me what you want more of. And she was like, whoa, I had no idea. So no one's been asking me for any of this. So for any of you CX operators, if no one's asking you for it, just go give it to them and keep giving it to them, and they're gonna keep asking for more and more, and then you're gonna be invited to a lot more meetings, so clear your calendar. But there's a lot to give. You just don't wait to be asked. Just, if it's important, go give it to someone. Get it out of your lap, hot potato that.
I love it. On the topic of tags, I remember the first time we met, you said something that stuck with me, which is I would rather have one of my agents answer incorrectly and tag correctly than the other way around, which is super counterintuitive.
If you have bad data, like, what's the point? Like, just leave the email. That, like, you have to know what's going on, and like, it's okay you can untag things, you can retag things. Like, it's not in cement forever, but data is critical in being able to automate, like building a really helpful help center with flows that do a good job, is because I know what the data is telling me to make. If you let your data get out of hand really quickly, like, it's a snowball that will grow so massively. You kind of have to come to a full stop to do that, and none of us have time to come to a full stop. So data's huge. I love data, clean data.
Nice. This next question is similar, so if you feel you've given it all you've got, you can let us know. But how do you get the buy-in of these other teams in the company when providing the same customer feedback over and over again?
Force it upon them. Like, they have to listen to you. No, CX has a really hard time getting buy-in, getting seats at the table. That's been the case for forever. I don't know why. I think we're coming to an awakening where people understand CX is so much more than a support function. Like, yes, it's a cost center, it's a revenue driver, it's a feedback machine. And if you understand it to be all three of those things, and if you have leaders that understand that, you're in a good spot. That's not the case for everyone. It's not the case for most people, actually. So pull out the nuggets and go deliver it to people. The new CMO that just joined Love Wellness, she was asking me, we went through my monthly reporting, and she said, returns are really low for you guys. Like, we process like 100 returns a month. We ship 30,000 orders. It's insane. And I said, so we don't employ a third party. Like, it would cost Loop money to have us as a customer. So most people, when they return it, it's either they had too much on hand, they're not going to use it, or it's a product that doesn't work for them, and we move them into a new product. And she said, really interesting, no one has told me any of these stats, and we were thinking about testing 100% money back guarantee, which we've never done before. And everyone was telling her, no, you can't do it, we can't afford it. And she was like, no one's returning our products to begin with. We could absolutely try this. No one else in the business had this info but me. No one asked me to give it, like it came up, and luckily it came up and I showed her everything I was touching. So I think be brave, like no one knows your business better than you do. No one knows a business better than a CX team. Like that will be true forever. So you kind of have the keys to every single car in the business. Like pick which one you want to drive, and like you get the driver's seat. Bring them along for the ride, but don't be afraid to like give stuff people didn't ask you for. You will find that they will now keep coming back to you. But be brave, be annoying. Like I'm the most annoying I tell every person that joined Love Wellness, unfortunately, you have to work with me. There is no way around it. And I think if you insert yourself in that way, like some people will be annoyed of you. That's okay. But most people will be really excited to know that like you might have the answer for them that could make their life a lot easier.
Thank you. So we have a question, like obviously not everyone has a 60 people CX team. And when you're starting out, when you have 1-2 people, small CX team, what's the best advice you could give them?
Be organized. Be as organized as you can, and do it. Take the 5 seconds now to save the 20 seconds later. But more holistically, I think lean on each other. Like 2 brains is better than 1. It will always be the case. Like I hire people smarter than me all the time. That's the whole point. I think between Casper and Love Wellness, I've hired like 100 people, and I think I have a good knack for it. I will not go into recruiting, but I think use each other. Like I would go to my team and I would say, you guys tell me what's not working. How do you want to come to a solution? And I will help facilitate that. But I'm not going to tell you what's wrong with your job. You're going to come tell me that. I think giving people a lot of agency and give them a seat at the table, their thoughts, and they're doing the work. They're probably doing the really, like, you have to shovel a lot of shit before someone shovels yours. Like, giving people the understanding that they're right there with you. You'll get in the trenches with them, but lean on each other, and like the agency and like the growth and the confidence that comes with that. So you aren't afraid to tell people you're annoying to work with and too bad, so sad. Like that goes a really long way.
Yeah. And I guess the next question goes right with it. How do you keep them motivated? Because we're saying like they have to deal with it, like it's a difficult customer. So
yeah. So we have a Slack channel called Cabin Fever. It's private. It's just for CX. You can say whatever you want in there. You cannot talk poorly about customers. That's the only rule. Mm-hmm. You can't be shit-talking customers. You can say, I have a very annoying person who's very confused, but you can't be like shit-talking them. They need a space to just like be total freaks at work. And it's great. They can like, we have like our CX channel actually ask questions. So like if you're out of town for a couple days, you can get the details and the updates. And they have a channel to like go fuck off in the entire day. And I don't care what is said as long like they're couple guidelines, but I think giving space at work, having a good sense of humor, like we are sending emails, we're not saving lives, is important to remember. And like boundaries are really, really important. Like your laptop shuts at 5:30, it will be okay unless like something is on fire, and I will take care of it because it's my job. I don't expect everyone on my team to like hang out with each other after work. You have lives, you spend 40 hours a week here, that's more than enough. So I don't do too many team outings, but we try to do dinner once a quarter and just like thank them for the time and work. But I treat them how I would want to be treated. Like no one's like, I'm your boss, but like we're all the same at the end of the day. And I give them a lot of agency. Like it's their job to come up with what they want to work on. Like if they want more responsibility, like I'll help you get there, but I'm not giving you the, I'm not doing that for you. So they've really figured out they can pave their own way. They can work on what they want to work on next. They just have to like put in the effort, and I will reciprocate that and carry them along the way. And don't take it too seriously. Like you just have to have a little laugh in there, a little giggle. Get yourself a Cabin Fever channel if you're allowed to have those. It goes a long way. And then if you're just like, you just need a day to like freak out in there, do it. And then like you get like 80 gifts in response. And you're like, it's not so bad. Like it's really funny. So I'll say the one other thing we do is what I mentioned earlier, the Tuesday weekly business review, the team builds it. It's a rotating job for everyone on the team. It gets them better at presenting and building slides, but they give a little flair. They'd work in like puns into every single summary, and there was GIFs, and they would like, there was just so much personality in every single thing. So they actually got really excited to make this really boring report that took 2 hours every week. But they had such a good time, and we'd be in tears. They'd have like intro music, and like we'd be dying laughing, discussing business. Like that's so boring, but we're like, look how fun this is. So give them some time to like make it their own and find their kind of flavor and sense within all of it. And then remember, it's just a job. Like, it's just a job. Go home at the end of the day. Go pet your dog. It's okay. Your job will be here in the morning.
I love that. Okay, next question. And I know how Gorgias helps, but I want to hear from you. How do you keep a cohesive voice across agents, right? And again, we have new agents, more experienced agents. We use BPO, some of us. So how do you make sure that the brand voice is cohesive?
Yeah. So like I said, the team was only 5. I somehow ended up hiring in twos, which was really helpful. Everyone kind of had a partner and a buddy system. But what I found is, as well as I know CX and I've done it for a long time, my team is actually a lot better at explaining it to their peers. So I let them train the team. They're the one answering emails. I don't send emails anymore unless I really have to. So they know what they're doing far better than I do at this point. So I let them train the team. What we found is it's so repetitive what we're getting in terms of ticket content type issues, how to resolve it, that we have one person on the team who creates all of our macros. She has her CSAT in her first year was like a 4.88. I was like, this is your first CX job. Like, where have you been? People respond so well. Her tone is like right on brand. She just kind of naturally got it. So anytime we're creating a snippet, a macro, an FAQ, Brenna actually writes all those, and we give that to one person. We agree this is what the macro says. We review it in that CX meeting I mentioned. On Thursdays, we say, okay, here's a new macro. It's ready. Are we in agreement? We like it. And those macros get the best rating. So we kind of segue through her. We tweak anything. Everyone has kind of their own snippets that match their own language. But we found that the people with the kind of the strongest writing skills, they really understand the brand and let them do that. But they all learn from each other. Like, I can show you process. I can show you how to think differently and what to consider to actually do the job. Like, the people doing the job should tell you how to do that, not me. I'm just here to like help along the way.
Beautiful. I think we have time for one more question. Like, we're almost on time, and we have lunch right after this. So how do you balance awesome CX when partnering with the 3PLs? So you guys were using 3PLs for the fulfillment.
Yep, and we've only ever used 3PLs.
Okay. So how do you make, like, you lose control in a way of that part of the experience? How do you balance it?
Yes. So we are very close with our ops team, and Love Wellness is only 40-ish people. Ops team is really small. It's like 3 or 4 people. We have a CX ops channel that's just questions to that team, and we report every week on what's going wrong, our mispicks up or down, our short ships up and down. And I can tell you a really quick story. We've moved 3PLs like 5 or 6 times. Like, we were just outpacing them. It's such a process. We found one we really, really like, though. I think we're going to stick with them. But the other one that we found, we were really excited about them. They had really good tech. We were like, this is so good. They were not great. They had an error rate through the roof. Like, every 10th order was missing or shipping someone else's products. Can't be doing that. And then we'd go and we'd be like, you shipped headphones. And they're like, no, we didn't. I'm like, yes, you did. They're like, your customer is pulling one on you. I'm like, they do not have time to make this up. Like, so we're very close with our CX team. But what we found was we were collecting all this feedback on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, and then on a monthly basis. And we went to the ops team and we said, 10% of our orders last month had an issue. That's never happened. Like, we shipped 30,000 orders. That's way too many orders to have an issue. So we talked to them all day long. And we were just very upfront. Like, most of them were mispicks. Most of them's this SKU. Is the SKU being swapped with this SKU? Like, what is going on? And we'd really get into the nitty-gritty of the patterns and deliver that back to them. We talked to the ops team every single day, all day long. You kind of have to. Like, CX is so operationally based and kind of oriented. And then the other thing, kind of later through Love Wellness's stages, one person on the team was promoted. She's a senior specialist, and her focus is logistics and fulfillment. So she's the one in the 3PL systems with our ops team, and everything kind of comes through her. So if you are to a point where you can designate half of someone's week, or maybe the first 3 hours of their day, to do everything fulfillment related in those other platforms, go to the meetings with the ops team, get them a seat at the table, and kind of be your voice and extension of you. That goes a really long way. Once your ops issue goes away, you're like, I have so much time. Like, I can do so much now. So go talk to your ops team. Have one CX person join like the weekly meeting with the 3PL. Establish some regular reporting. As soon as an issue pops up, let them know that you have to get a grip on that really, really quickly. And it should start to balance out.
Thank you so much. And can we have one more bonus question? I'll take the opportunity of being here on stage next to you. And looking at the audience, we have so many beautiful females. So can we answer this question? Oh, sorry, what was the biggest advice? I'll bring it back. And what is the biggest advice for a CX leader you can give? Female CX leader.
Yes.
Sorry, I messed up.
Girls run the world. Go get yourself a seat at the table. I don't care who you have to elbow to get there. You can't step on people, but you can budge your way through. Women are so smart. But much like women's wellness, it's underrepresented, it's underfunded. There's so much lacking on our side of the table. I would say be brave and loud. Like, fear nothing but fear itself. Like, just have a voice. Like, find yourself a seat at the table. Like, pull up a folding chair if you have to. But go sit at the table. You sit on far more info than anyone knows you do. You know your business best, and don't be shy. Be very loud and annoying. I always say, like, beat the CX drum, but like beat it for yourself as well. The one other thing I'll say is, and I wish someone told me this and I figured it out like 3 years later, come to these events. I was like, why does anyone go to these things? Like, what's going on? I went to Dreamforce once, and I was like, never again. Come to these and talk to people here, and the community of women that exists within the D2C space is profound and amazing, and you will have so many network opportunities, but like friendships, and you can change careers, and you can change companies. Like, there's so much to be had within these walls, within the people here, with the women here. And I've found so many like lifelong friends. Like, what a funny, like, I met her at a conference. Like, who, what? That's a thing. And I remember 3 years ago, I was like, I don't want to go to these things. Like, it's a day off work, but then it is go to, yes to every, be a yes woman to every invite you get, and go talk to people, because we're all kind of doing this together. But don't be shy. Like, we're all scared of making friends as an adult is very hard. But the people I work with in this community, just on a purely friendly basis or professional basis, are some of the smartest people I've ever met. I can solve problems for them. They can solve problems for me, and we get to do it together. So make friends while you're here. Like, trade Instagrams. Like, I'm gonna be a girl I met at a conference. I'm like gonna be in her wedding. Like, there's so much to be had. So go to all the events, but be loud and proud when you do it. And at work, like I said, if no one's asking you for feedback about parts of the business, go give it to them, and they'll be like, "Whoa, this is great. I had no idea." So like, we do have to do a little bit of work to speak louder and speak up, and like I said, elbow our way to the table, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I think you end up on top, and it's great.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today for the session and for the event in general. I think we're having lunch there, so please go ahead and...
Thank you all. Yeah. This was great.